G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to DCS World with Mags, and welcome aboard the UH-1H Iroquois, otherwise known as the Huey. My favourite helicopter in the world. This thing is a fantastic piece of machinery and is incredibly well modelled in DCS. And today we're going to be doing one of the single missions for DCS called Stray Eagle. Now, Stray Eagle is a mission that I've actually featured on the channel a long time ago, back before 60 FPS and well before DCS 2.5. And I wanted to come back to revisit it because, well, DCS just looks so good now. When I played this previously, it was also on an older computer when I did the videos, so a lot of the terrain features had to be turned off as I simply didn't have the computing horsepower or the graphical capability to actually run an even DCS 1.5. Actually, I don't even think it was DCS 1.5 I did this mission on all the way back then. Now, as you can see, this is a hell of a lot more impressive. So, what is Stray Eagle? Well, Stray Eagle is the pilot of a downed A-10 Warthog that crashed about 10 miles to the west of our base. Now, the pilot did manage to safely eject, however, he did go down in enemy-controlled territory. The town directly to himself, as well as the surrounding forests and mountains, are very much in enemy control. We're being sent in to recover him. Now, the safest way to actually get to his location is to go directly through the town that is under enemy control, and unfortunately, it is defended by self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. So, there are actually two elements to our rescue mission. The first is T.Flight, consisting of two AH-1 Cobras. Their mission is quite simple. They're to escort us until we enter the engagement zone. Once we have entered the engagement zone, they're going to break off and begin hunting down any enemy armor they can find. That's any self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, any kind of APCs, anything that our guns can't actually deal with. They will fire at infantry as well if it does become available, but the armor is their primary target. Clear the area of anything that could threaten our flight. Now, our flight is Chevy flight, consisting of two UH-1H Iroquois. However, we do not have the same configuration. I'm flying Chevy 1. Now, Chevy 1 is UH-1H that's been stripped down to just the door gunners. It's very light, very nimble. It's the perfect recovery vehicle here. Now, of course, the door gunners are the pretty much standard issue M60Ds, belt-fed M60 7.62mm machine guns. Nothing particularly special there. However, Chevy 2 is flying a gunship configuration. Now, he's also equipped with the M60Ds in the door gunner positions, but in addition to that, he's also got the M134 minigun, or in fact two of them, mounted to the flexible mount on the front of the Huey, as well as two 6-shot rocket pods on the outer pylons. Now, why T.Flight is not under my direct command and will break off to pursue its own mission objective as soon as we fence in, Chevy 2 is directly under my command. So why T.Flight is targeting any self-propelled anti-aircraft guns or any other armor operating in the area, Chevy 2 will go about taking out any infantry, loose forces, or anything that T.Flight misses that could potentially threaten me during the pickup. Now, as you just heard, we passed waypoint 3. Waypoint 3 is the fence-in point. We're now directly south of the town that's actually under control, and you'll see the T.Flight just broke off. Now, I'm getting the night vision goggles working here, while the light will slowly get better over the course of this mission as the sun rises. At the moment, spotting stuff on the ground in the shadow is going to be a little bit difficult, so I'm going to be popping the night vision goggles on and off as I'm low-level flying or looking for potential threats to the aircraft as I'm trying to hit the recovery area. Now, the night vision goggles, I love the new animation for them in 2.5, they look really nice, and they are fully adjustable, so you will see me tweaking the settings a little bit here and there, just to try and get it to the point where it's nice and clear, but not too bright. There we go, anyway, much better. So, if you look in the center of the night vision goggles, you will see a road that's running directly to the north. This runs directly through the center of the town, and the tree line further up in the distance is actually the starting point of the town, which is where the hostiles will begin showing up. So at this point, it's time to start cracking the doors open and getting the door gunners ready to engage. I'm going to set them to return fire only. I don't want them wasting ammunition unless I absolutely have to have them fire. And the other thing I'm going to do here is just loiter around. I'm going to throw myself into a left-hand orbit at the end of the town and just wait. The Cobras have only just entered the town. You need to give them a little bit of time to hunt through, see if they can find any armor, and start actively engaging the armor. If you rush straight through after the Cobras have just arrived, they won't have the time to eliminate any of the anti-aircraft guns before you start encountering them.
I've got ELTM on 40.5. Popping orange smoke now. We should be able to follow the road directly toward my position. I'll hold up in the bush here. It looks like I've got company, and they can hear you coming too. Over.
So that was Stray Eagle, and they can hear us. We're about 10 miles out, and so can the enemy. So we're going to complete this orbit here before we begin moving north following the road that Stray Eagle mentioned and that I pointed out before. Now this orbit is incredibly important to give the Cobras time to actually take out the anti-aircraft guns. It is possible to dive into the town and just try and rush your way through and hope that luck prevents you from getting shot down by these guns, but I tend to find air-to-ground anti-tank missiles work more effectively than luck. And the night vision back on, we're coming out of the orbit and we're going to go on the east side of the road, across the forest just to the east of the town, keeping a track of where the road is, but keeping out of the central point of the town for a start. So our left-hand gunner's located some targets on the side that are firing at us, likely infantry hidden amongst the buildings, and T.Flight has located another piece of armour and is moving to engage now. Now at this point we're pushing about 110 knots, or around 200 kilometers per hour. Now while this isn't as fast as I could be going, this is getting pretty close to the Huey's maximum speed. But I do want to move through this area as quickly as possible. As much as the armour has been taken out by T.Flight, who have now moved on and are engaging armour further ahead of us, there is still a lot of infantry here, and I do not want to unleash the gunship just yet. So the best bet here is to fly relatively low, keep ourselves hard to hit from enemy ground forces, and head our way up to the landing zone. As I approach the landing zone, I'm going to issue an attack order to the gunship, which should then start moving around the area, engaging any active troops or any kind of armour vehicles that are within the area that could be converging on Stray Eagle. Although if T.Flight does its job, Chevy 2 shouldn't have a huge amount of armour to engage. Alright, so at this point we've just reached the end of the town. We're just clearing the last of the tree lines before we move into a large clearing area with the road running through the centre, and then start leading up into the mountains. So it's at this point we've got to start looking for that smoke, which I can tell you right now in 2.5 is a hell of a lot more visible than it was back when I used to do this mission in 1.5 and of course in DCS 1.0. You can of course see the smoke directly in front of us at the moment in the center of the screen. It looks purplish from this range because of the blue background, but it is actually red smoke. Now, we are in the open here, we don't have the tree lines as cover for low altitude flying, and I'm going to have to start climbing and slowing down for the landing anyway. So, starting to pull back on the speed, we've dropped down to about 80 knots at this point, and once again we're being engaged by targets. Hold it steady to give my gunner a chance to work the target over a little bit, and with shots still coming in from below, brake left. Now those shots were fairly tightly grouped and coming in from a reasonable range, so it's possible that's actually coming in from armour. So at this point it was time to order the gunship to start engaging everything in the area. Now I'm just checking the ground here for potential landing sites if I need them. The slopes here are a bit steeper than I would like, but nothing that the Huey can't handle. Thankfully the smoke is on an area that is a little bit flatter, and we are still getting engaged, shots flying through. So I'm going to yaw the helicopter left to try and thin up the profile of the helicopter a little bit, make it a little bit harder to actually get shots on the Huey. Now, the longer we wait around here, the more likely it is that we're going to get shot, so I can't really loiter here too long. And the left-hand door gunner has found targets on the west side of the smoke, so he's engaging. And I'm just scanning the landing field itself, making sure there is nothing around the smoke that I can hit or that can potentially hit me. Quickly checking our right-hand side, and I'm not seeing any traces, so we seem to be good from that side for the moment. and Door Gunner has ceased firing, and I'm not seeing any return fire, so he may have managed to take down the targets on the left-hand side, and we've got shots coming in from the right now. But we're committed to a landing at this point. We have to put down, we have to get our target, we have to leave. Now there is a bit of a slope here, so I just wanted to be a bit gentle with the landing and make sure that the Huey didn't rock on touchdown. A little slide on the skids, but otherwise pretty good. Right-hand door gunner is still engaging targets. Mk.II and T.Flight should be in the area. In fact, speaking of T.Flight, here they are now. Now if they're passing over the area, they're getting ready to exit out, so they've cleared all the armor that they can find. So the only cover I have at this point is Mk.II. So at this point, all we can do is wait on the spot for Stray Eagle to arrive. The gunners are still set to free fire on anything that pops up. Thankfully, nothing seems to have at this time. It took me a little while to actually find the pilot. He seems to spawn into the match further away than he used to. Nevertheless, he finally arrived and boarded, which gave us the all clear to finally get out of here. Now I'm going to take off down slope before heading out over the west side of the town and into the mountains to actually clear the region. This is the same path that T.Flight was taking to exit the area. Now it seems the spot we landed in actually was giving us a little bit of cover. As soon as we lifted off and actually picked up a little bit of altitude, we immediately came under small arms fire again, so once again the side gunners were dealing with that as we were clearing the area. And overall, that is pretty much it for this mission. From this point, you just head down the west side of the town. There's a couple of small groups on the outliers that will try and engage you as you come through. Small arms fire mostly, so your gunners will usually deal with them. I actually ran out of ammunition passing by the last one on my left-hand door gunner. And just a quick radio call to tell Mk.II to rejoin the formation, otherwise they will stay out there until they run out of ammunition, attacking everything they can find inside of the engagement area, long after I and T.Flight have actually left. Time to fly home was about 10 or 15 minutes, and once you've cleared the engagement area, that's really it. It's just a smooth flight back to base, order Mk.II to land, and touch down once you've got clearance. Speaking of which, there's one of the outlier groups now. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. I may be revisiting some of my other older DCS content and bringing it up to 2.5 again in the future, but the next DCS video will, of course, be the next part of the Sea Dragon campaign. Until then, remember to check the video description down below for links to all of my social media and to my Patreon if you would like to support the channel. And as always, remember to click that like button, subscribe, and share if you would like to see more, and until next time, take care.